What's up YouTube, it's JP Dunphy, your BMW Genius here at BMW for Washington. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my very first, because I hadn't had a chance to actually drive this yet, the first 24-hour review of my i4 eDrive35. So first and foremost, it's a great car. It really is a great car. It has more than enough power to get you moving. It's able to put it down, and in terms of power delivery, it feels practically the exact same as the eDrive40. Where it falls a little bit short in that is it feels like there's maybe a quarter-second delay putting the power down in the 35 versus the 40. But aside from that, you really don't feel much of a difference. It's mainly horsepower difference, that 335 versus 282 horsepower between the 40 and the 35. But, I mean, in terms of torque, they're about the same, and everything else kind of, factors in to be a pretty even exchange altogether, even though there's a horsepower disparity. However, I did a short on this. I did find an Achilles heel with it. So, when driving in brake mode, B mode, or otherwise known as one-pedal driving, the car in general feels exactly like the eDrive40. So anything below 40 miles per hour, it has good, strong regen, it works just fine, and it'll take you to a full stop. I had a couple situations coming to a slight downhill where it didn't want to come to a full stop on its own in brake mode, but that's, kind of a, it doesn't have with everything. It's the same thing with my Tesla, same thing in the Mini. So that's just a sort of general electric car in general thing. So that can't be taken as solely, hey, this is the eDrive35's issue. Where I did find it to be an issue is when we were on the highway. So I was doing some highway driving just this morning before coming into work, and I had to have a couple situations where I, tried to maximize it for highway drives and do it in brake mode. And it did not want to slow down nearly as much as either the eDrive40 or the M50. Now, there are a couple reasons for this. So those who don't know, there are a couple different things out there. I haven't looked into exactly what the difference is between this motor and the eDrive40's motor. I don't know if it's an actual separate motor altogether or if it's solely a different one. I have a sneaking suspicion based on what I've experienced so far that it might be a slightly higher tuned version of the front motor in the M50. I'll be able to look that up later to, confirm that, but that's sort of my suspicion. But again, the main reason that you'll notice that is when I come to full off pedal here, I'm doing a turn right now, and you notice that in it does not want to come to a full stop with as much vibrato and gusto. Now again, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll probably know that when it comes to the eDrive40 versus the M50, you're looking at one less motor, which means that the regen is less. So the M50 maxes out, has a peak regen of 195 kilowatts of regen. That's a lot. That's basically DC fast charging this at its max, but in regen. So that alone is really amazing. Then you look at the eDrive40. The eDrive40 maxes out at 116, 118. Depends on which one you get. BMW's official one that came out was 116 kilowatts of regen. So it doesn't have as much. But the thing is, regen is sort of based on how much, potential is in there. So the more coils you have, the more potential for regen, and the more potential you have for power. So when you move down to the 282 horsepower of the eDrive35, you're probably working with significantly fewer, or not significantly, but a good amount fewer coils. Which means that the regen in this is probably not the same 116 that the 40 gets. Instead, my best guess is it's probably around 95 kilowatts of regen. Now, when I had the Mini Cooper SE, that thing had about 50 kilowatts of regen as max in that highest level, which means that's about what it could take DC fast charger. That worked very well. It was a lighter chassis. This car is not as light as that, so it's about 1,000 pounds heavier than my Tesla Model 3 when I had that, and about 146 pounds lighter than the equivalent i4 eDrive40. What that means is altogether, this car is significantly more nimble than I would expect it to be. And that's with the standard suspension that you get on this. It's like a sports suspension, but it's a standard suspension. It's decent tires. They're not overly wide. They're not overly girthy. 225 section tires. So they're, decent. They have a good amount of width to them, but it's also a heavy car. What this car does do amazingly, everything in the back works perfect. The size works perfect. The trunk is great. I have had zero issues getting groceries, putting the kids in the back before I took the seats out for this video, and it works great. My range is also very good, like very, very good. So I'm basically maxing out about 200. I didn't do a video of it this morning. I apologize for that, but I maxed out at 246 miles at 100%, and that was with 30 degrees outside, without being plugged in. My wife had the plug this morning, and without preconditioning. So all in all, that was really, really, really good and very close to the EPA estimated range. So with that, I am very happy. Now, when it comes to the actual driving dynamics, it turns in extremely well. It's very quick, and it's very nimble. Part of that's because of the summer tires. I think when I eventually switch these over to all seasons, the question becomes, will I do a all season that is EV compatible, like the Michelin Cross Climates 2s? Those are EV compatible. They have good stiff sidewalls and should have very good wear characteristics considering the actual weight of this car. Or do I go something like Michelin Pilot Sport All Season 4s? That one is not technically EV compatible, but it might give me better grip. I'd be curious to see how that works out. I might actually do a non-official kind of test of both those tire sets on this car with the 18s and the 50 aspect sidewall. So 225, 50, 18s is the size of the tire. We'll see how that works out. And yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else that's really super important for this that's not already talked about in previous videos. I don't want to rehash the same things over and over with it. I haven't had that charge to put it on a DC fast charger. It fully charged from 36% to 100% this morning in an hour and 12 minutes. That was also on a an hour and 46 minutes. That was on a 24 kilowatt hour fast charger. That's what we have here. It's not the fastest it can take. This thing does max out at 180 kilowatts DC fast charging. So again, not quite as much as the i4, but considering that it's a smaller battery, you're talking about 70.2 kilowatts, 66, net usable, compared to the, 80 for the 40. What that basically means is that if you do that, you're probably looking at, from a 10 to 80% DC fast charge, if the battery's ready for it, about 32 minutes rather than 35 for the bigger car, which yes, does have higher 200 kilowatt intake versus 180. But yeah, I mean, all that factored in, it's very, very, very good. I am loving the car so far. As I go further and further, I'm going to be doing my first road trip this weekend. So I will do a short on that one as well as we go forward. But in the meantime, that's how it is. Just as again, quick recap for those who have not seen in the past. These cars, as of right now, do not come with the... I just realized I never took that off. Sorry. I just realized I never took that off. I did not do the M Sport because M Sport is not an option. Likewise with the M Adaptive Suspension. The M Adaptive Suspension will make this car a little nicer, but that is currently back ordered, so we can't get that or the M Sport Looks package for this car. So I do have the standard wheel, which works just fine. I also didn't take off the other thing, so thank God. Yeah, it's still a very new car. I haven't taken off much of the wrappings at all, it seems. So, anyway, that's where we're at with that. And, yeah. Thanks so much for being with us. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. All the usual things to do. Again, we only have about 97% that are not subscribers and watch these videos. So if you found this helpful, please hit that subscribe button. You don't have to hit the bell notification. I don't care if you see absolutely every video, but it helps us out. It helps me out. I run this channel solo, so all this is helpful. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.